Hello Final Fantasy fans and welcome back to another deck spotlight. Today I have for you the Fast and Fusoya deck, and yes, you better believe this is a reincarnated version of the Opus 2 deck that we featured. And I want to give a huge shout out to Kawamura, I believe is how you pronounce it, the Japanese player who took this to a top 8. I think it might have been top 4, but top 8 finish at a 40-odd player event. For those that don't know, it was back in Opus 2 when it first came out. We had a deck building contest from Mognet. Richard Zabb put it together, and we kind of had a lot of fun with it. We built the deck, kind of gave the shell. A bunch of players kind of gave their versions. We voted on it and came out with a list, and that's one that ended up getting featured. And now with Opus 4 kind of around the corner, we've gained quite a few new tools that make it worth it. Now, of course, it does have a very common EX burst centric feel to it. That's not going to change, but I think ultimately what it gained in Opus 4 made it significantly better than what we had previously, comparing meta to meta, and it is something that's worth playing. At the end of the day, it's very good at what it wants to be doing, and the couple of tools that it gained absolutely give it that little bit extra consistency that it needed. And really it's going to be two of these that we have right off the bat. So two Beatrix. Now with Steiner, it's going to be a nice card in itself. We've mentioned just having a 3-drop 8k in water is fantastic, but what really makes it shine here is the on-demand negative 1000 power on your opponent's side. So as you might imagine, when you have something that can ping for 7000 and Beatrix can swing and shrink it by that extra 1000, suddenly you're killing off 8k powered forwards, which is really good for what you can do with this deck. And it helps not only make your guys more compatible in sense of being aggressive with like Al-Cid and Onion Knight, which are generally a little bit underpowered. Beatrix can really help bring the band together and charge to victory. Then we have Garnet, which is really just a one-of. We're going to be using this mostly to find our Moogle, to discard and search away our other extra light cards. Of Fusoya in this case, it's not really impressive for the body, so really don't need more than one in the deck. And then we have Steiner kind of making the other key light spot here. So in this deck, as you play it, or even early on, and maybe you're taking a little bit longer to get set up, you're going to be taking quite a few points of damage. Now, over the course of a game, you might only activate Fusoya 2 or 3 times, depending on the matchup, of course, but that 2 or 3 times is going to put you right into range for Steiner to give you the ability to draw a card. And now, because we have certainly more water forwards for this deck than we've seen in some of the other decks that we've featured so far, Steiner's plus 1000 power to doll one of your guys going plus 1000 power is extremely relevant in this deck, and again can help you punch through for those points of damage when you really need it. So not only is Steiner just a good card himself, he can be very powerful for water, he draws a card, but it directly helps and synergizes with what you want to be doing. Of course, then we have the option to just put something on top of our deck and get really good use out of Fusoya is Ephemeral Summoner, or the mannequin. So pick one of your summons, put it on top of the deck. Of course, not all of them, but we'll get into that in a little bit. It has to be a water summon, and then get the trigger with Fusoya. So ultimately what we can do is, if your opponent has a 6,000 or 7,000 forward and something else, let's just say big, we can stack the deck, use Fusoya, kill the guy that we can, let's say use a Leviathan and bounce the other, and then somehow out of all this you still have a 4000k powered forward, if not attacking for a few points of damage and setting your opponent back in tempo. So fantastic thing that we can pull off with Summoner. It's interesting, it's only a 2-of. Again, this is going to kind of be a few cards you might want to change. I would have liked to see it as a 3-of, depending on how quick you can get Fusoya out, but I can understand why it's only 2. Going into a very common water package, does take up a lot of slots, but worth it for what you can be doing, is the Knight and Lenna. Now, obviously, those two cards go together. Knight is just going to be a very efficient beater in the late game where you can get them up to 8,000 power. And then Lenna herself is going to be able to let you recur those Knights. And then Arise is also going to come in handy. There might be some matchups where you just have to Arise an Ephemeral Summoner to find your last summon for the win. There's a lot of really cute things that you can be doing with it. It is an expensive effect for what you get, but it does play it onto the field, so it does work itself out in the end. Now let's talk about some very interesting choices thanks to Opus 4 Ninja. Now, I realize that just having a haste forward is going to be great. It's a 3000 power, so if they don't have Minwu, you can at least always throw in the option, say, hey, if you block my ninja, I'm just going to Fusoya and kill off whatever you blocked with it. So it has a multi-use in this, and I like it as a 1-up because it's going to be more mid to late game that you want to see it, but has an interesting application. Black Waltz 3, let me tell you, this card is fantastic for this deck. Enters the field, shrinks something by 2000, finish it off with Fusoya, puts in the breakstone, shrink something by 2,000, finish off as a Fusoya. This card becomes one of the strongest threats that you're going to have because of what it allows you to do in combination with, yes, if you can play it off Al-Cid, you might be getting a little bit extra value off of it that way, but it's a 6,000 power 4 that your opponent is not only not going to want to block with their 8,000 powers, but they always have to be concerned with your Fusoya to help finish something off. So I really love this card in this deck. It makes your opponent really have to second guess kind of what they're doing. And of course, you can just have those turns where just getting 2,000 power damage post-combat is going to be enough to kill something, and it's great value that way as well. Within that, we also have Onion Knight and Al-Cid. Don't really need to spend a lot of time here. It's still the probably best 2-card combo that we have in Lightning. If you're playing a Lightning deck, you're most certainly going to be playing the 3 and 3 of this. You might do 2 Onion Knight and 3 Al-Cid for some reason if you're low on space and you have some of the other targets like Rigdia and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think 3 and 3 is going to be the best way to go and something you strongly should consider for your Lightning decks. Now with that, we're going to be talking about our summons, and hint hint, they are water 4 or less summons, so we can grab them all with Imperial. So we have Moogle up first, and you know, not only is it the cutest summon in the game, it is very important for these decks that want to focus on a light-heavy synergy. So back in Opus 3, we saw the water-light-centric deck that relied heavily on Moogle, so you could do your shenanigans with Cosmos and getting extra copies out of the way and Warrior Light and all that other good stuff. But here it allows us to find our Fusoya faster. It's going to generate card advantage for us after we take a damage if we have to and hit the EX burst. And ultimately it's just going to help you find those other key pieces like your Al-Cid targets when you really need them. Leviathan should be no surprise here. There's very few better feelings in this deck than being able to kill one of your opponent's forwards for 7,000 and then just bouncing the other one with the Leviathan off the top. It's great. And then lastly, we have the Impure, which again, is another card that can really combo with Fusoya itself, but it's also important to keep in mind here that a lot of your forwards in this deck, outside of maybe Beatrix helping them or Steiner being very big, you're going to struggle a little bit from the power to your opponent's powers kind of fighting. So this can help you leverage that and not only trade where you want it to trade, or you know, more preferably, it's going to let you get in this position where you attack with Al-Cid, your opponent's going to block with, say, an 8,000 power forward, or they think they're going to be safe, and you play this and shrink their guy by 3,000 or 4,000. You know, we haven't really seen Impure see a lot of play recently, but I think it's going to be starting to come a little bit back based on how the power matchups that we've seen. Cyclops is kind of my other card that I think is poised very well for a comeback. We have 2 in this deck, but kind of as a side note, I think that being able to shrink power by more than 3,000 or more currently is very, very good based on how some of the other cards are matching up against one another. So Cyclops here, very important for, again, not only because it's going to be good comboing with Fusoya, can't stress that enough, but your guys are just going to be a little bit smaller than what you probably like, so Cyclops can help you even the playing field. And then we have a 1 of Raiden, which has just been kind of an all-star, and I think we all knew that this card was going to be great because it was a 9 cost, people were comparing it to Bahamut, what have you, but it's really important to note here that it is just straight break 1, remove 1, and that can really help out some matchups when you're staring down, say, a Cecil or something. You really want to be able to get it off the board. Moving into our backups, we have some interesting ones, maybe some other ones that you might expect it. The 2-drop Black Mage from Opus 3, break a forward of 3 or less. Just a great early drop. You know, we don't really have Red Mage, which is surprising to me, but we really just want to have a bit more way to control our opponent's forwards, get them out of the field when we really don't want to see them anymore, and it's just a great early card to play. Singleton Eiko for getting your summons back, so you have to have 4 summons, you can get one of them back to your hand. In this case, getting back Leviathan, getting back a Raiden, maybe late game if you just really need to play another one. It gives you that nice flexibility spot for this, so it's interesting because a lot of your backups can break themselves, but you'll see we'll have like Yuna and Seymour, so you have to make sure you're managing your backups in a way that not every single one of them is going to break themselves, and you don't want to lock yourself out before you can really get use out of all your backups. Speaking of another one that breaks itself is Magus. 4,000 damage. Again, comboing it with your forwards or comboing it with Fusoya is really going to help you generate the most value out of it, and it's just another early card we can play. Finally, 2-drop Yuna, getting to see some love again. Because we are so heavily focused on our water summons, you know, really getting to play Impure for 3 and Leviathan for 2 feels so great, and that's why we have this being the water 2-drop. Now, we have the good old Queen, and really, you're playing this for the EX. Like, you can find Knight, and sure, that's fine. but it really is here just to discard or in the off chance that you're going to hit it off of the Fusoya. So if you want to change out this for, say, another Merlwyb or something of your choice, absolutely go for it, or just another tutor backup. Let's say you really want to have Gramis or something. Absolutely go for it. And then finally we have the kind of the whole centerpiece of the deck is the 3-cost Fusoya. Now this card, again, really has to have the deck built around it while still being strong in itself. And I think this version, a Water Lightning more focused deck, is going to be the best place of it overall. So yes, you must have 3 copies of this card. And then a singleton Gramis, you know, getting to find your Al-Cid, really no surprise there. For finishing up our backups, we have 2 Merlwyb. This is another card that feels absolutely great to hit as an EX burst. It's kind of your Moogle 4 and 5, if you will. Something that it can help you discard if you have an extra copy of Fusoya in your hand. You have one on the field already. But another one of those cards that can feel really bad to play early, unless you really have to and want to filter your hand. Not one that you want to see often in your backup lineup, but if you have to, it's great for what it does. Because, again, drawing extra cards, filtering to find those pieces is always going to be a very advantageous thing for this deck. And then lastly is Singleton Seymour, because you know what? Ash is still a very difficult card for this deck to deal with, depending on how much Ash you're seeing in your locals. And it's just great to break a Fort of cost 3 or less on play. It can help you generate a little bit more tempo and stay in the game. So that is the updated Fast and Fusoya list. I really hope you guys liked it. This has kind of been a fun one to play at locals, and now we've seen that it did well in a 40-man event. So hey, play it. Make some changes if you want to make some changes, and let us know how you do with it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop us a like. That really does help us out. Share it with your friends, and make sure to comment down below what decks you want to see in the future. So on behalf of myself and the rest of the Six Sages Gaming crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video. Have a good one. This video made possible thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thank you to our honorary sages.